Welcome to the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. I bring over 40 years experience in comic books and entertainment across 5 decades. I offer insights and opinions on the business and the art of comic books and pop culture. If it's happening in games, in movies, in streaming, or comic books, we're covering it right here on the Robservations Show. Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. Wherever you listen to us, wherever you catch this show, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podbean, or our latest venture into YouTube, we just thank you so much for listening. Today we have just an amazing show. I could not be more excited about today's show and our guest and the very frank and candid discussion that we were able to have. I am talking about none other than Mr. David Finch, who I firmly believe is the most important artist, illustrator of the last 25 years. Certainly in the realm of commercial pop comic books. There has been nobody more prolific, no one more popular, no one, I think, more high profile in regards to all of the various different projects that Dave has worked on. I watched Dave break into the industry during the image explosion of talent. There was all sorts of new, fresh faces at Extreme Studios, at Wildstorm, and at the studio that Dave shined so brightly at with Mark Silvestri's Top Cow. And Dave's work coming out of Top Cow was eye-catching. It demanded your attention. You immediately wanted to know, what's this guy drawing next? And every job was better than the job before, better than the job before that. And it was just a blast to watch his career blossom and grow. And he launched a book in the late 90s. So it's more than 25 years, but I'm literally counting from 2000 to right now is where I'm giving my 25 years, because it was like Top Cow and all the amazing work that Dave Finch produced, Ripclaw, the Cyberforce stuff, all the covers, and of course Ascension, which is where he made his mark in really the creator-owned space with this very unique vision. It was the right book at the right time. Top Cow was the hottest label in comics, and Dave was breaking out, standing out, and Ascension was a giant hit book. If you've never encountered Ascension, look it up, check it out. You'll dig it. It's early Dave Finch, but you can see where he is finding his sea legs just in time for Marvel Comics to grab him in the early 2000s. And whether it was the Ultimate X-Men stuff that he was doing when he arrived there, or some of what I call the fireman books, probably the first place that you encountered the importance. I'm grabbing for this book as I talk of Dave Finch, and really where you understood what he meant to a publisher. Is when he and Brian Bendis relaunched. I'm holding up the hardcover New Avengers Rebirth, where they reset the Avengers as the most important book in the Marvel Universe, as they anticipated building the Marvel Studios of Iron Man in 2008, Thor and Cap in 2011, and then the Avengers in 2012. It all started right here. This is where they were going to make the New Avengers the number one best-selling book at Marvel. They put Wolverine, they put Spider-Man on the team, but most importantly, they put the most commercial, hottest penciler with their best-selling writer, Brian Bendis. And literally, New Avengers became the primary focus of the entire marketing campaign and publishing plan of Marvel Comics. Dave Finch is a guy you can build a publishing plan around. Believe me when I tell you, I'm not talking out of school here. Dave is the most in-demand talent across all of the different publishers. This year, San Diego Comic-Con, a number of different publishers were trying to find out when they could meet with Dave, schedule something with Dave, get Dave over to their side of the publishing plan. People recognize the eyeballs that he brings to any project, because his work just demands our attention. It is so beautiful, beautiful faces, beautiful figures, incredible environments. Following the new Avengers, he reshaped Moon Knight, who was already super popular, but Dave took him to new heights, and it broke out and it got everybody's attention, because Moon Knight, aside from its breakout 1980s Bill Sienkiewicz run, had not kind of experienced the kind of high highs that he was on a commercial level until Dave did these multiple issues of this brand new Moon Knight launch. And from there, Dave was just off to the races. DC Comics calls. They offer him Batman. They offer him that character that we've talked about so often. And Dave starts writing and drawing his own work. Batman: The Dark Knight. Okay, this is a huge book. This commands a ton of attention and excites fandom, as Dave has never been a dedicated DC guy until right then. And he resides at DC for many years. Prior to that, I am remiss if I don't mention that Dave did so many of these great covers. One of the best Cables I've ever seen depicted. I love his rendition of all the X-Men, but man, Dave understands Cable like few do. X-Men: Second Coming, Messiah War, all the different covers, all the different stuff that he contributed to. Ultimatum with Jeff Loeb. Did you buy this? I did. Everybody did. This was hot. This was a book. Again, I'm buying because Dave Finch, as much as I love Jeff Loeb and as much as I enjoy all of these different writers, none of them had the impact that Dave Finch had when he would connect with their work or these characters. Then it became a must-buy for me. See, Dave moves the needle. Dave is an artist that we follow. I will buy Dave Finch's covers, and right here I shared this with him in the interview. Brightest Day is a series that I bought. This is a very busy time in my life. I got 3 young kids, but when I went to the comic store, I would grab Brightest Day. It didn't matter if I read Brightest Day. I just needed these covers, because watching Dave draw Deadman and Hawkman and Aquaman and Firestorm and Hawk and Flash, Captain Boomerang, I had to see his depictions, because as you'll see, I mentioned to Dave, when Dave drew any of the characters in the pantheon between Marvel and DC, you wanted to see more of his depiction of that character immediately. That is the mark of an artist who moves eyeballs, who we follow with our pocketbook, and we buy what he does. Forever Evil is a book that this is one of my favorite projects he did while he was at DC Comics. All of these incredible villains. I love the Crime Syndicate, Ultraman, his rendition of Lex Luthor, and I would be remiss if I did not open this up, because I kept looking at this over and over. His rendition of Sinestro, again, it drives home what I'm saying. I'm like, wait, is this maybe the best Sinestro has ever looked? Right here on this last page, I'm holding up this splash page of Sinestro Rising, and it is just, it's spectacular. Dave, when I tell you that he's the most important artist of the last 25 years, people build publishing plans. They create event books for him to illustrate, because they know he's the guy. When World War Hulk was coming out, no insult to whoever was drawing the interiors, but Dave was tapped as the cover artist for World War Hulk. And I can't tell you how many retailers told me during that summer of that crossover, if the interiors just look like these covers, I'd double my sales. That's Dave Finch. Where's Dave Finch been? Dave Finch has been sequestered away for a number of years. He has partnered with Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead, of Invincible. You love Robert. The market loves Robert. The fans love Robert. Dave and Robert have created what is nothing short of a masterpiece. I've been watching these pages come in over what feels like 7-8 years. I first glimpsed these pages at Robert Kirkman's house on his computer screens, and it was very clear that Dave Finch was taking his work to the next level. I'm going to tell you right now, I personally believe that the work that Dave has done on this brand new title, it's called SKINBREAKER. I have this preview here. I picked this up at the comic store. I missed out on getting one at the San Diego Comic-Con. I could have grabbed a free copy. I paid market value for this, had to have it, had to study it. This is the black and white, the line art version. I shared this numerous times during my interview with Dave. The work that he's done on this has, I believe, he has reset what we will call the standard for comic book art. He has raised the bar to a level that only Dave can raise. The attention to detail, the environment, the blades of grass, the leaves, the branches, the creatures, the monsters, our antagonists, our protagonists. You're going to see a level of detail and storytelling that is going to absolutely blow you away. This is what he has been doing. These, I believe it's 8 issues of SKINBREAKERS are coming your way. The job is done. He doesn't have to draw issue 6 or 7 or 8. It's all complete. It's now being released. The great thing that Robert does, and he's got a couple of these things in the pipeline. He finances them to their completion before he shares them with all of us, so that we will all be able to experience it in a timely fashion. So Dave was given the freedom to craft this. I had so many questions that I wanted to approach him with in regards to how he approaches the page, the tools he uses, what he's thinking as he develops his personal storytelling. I really wanted to get artist on artist here and pick his brain. I'm going to tell you right now, I learned so much from my talk with Dave. I learned so much. I came away so much brighter, looking to utilize some of the same tools and approaches that he does, because you can always teach an old dog new tricks, and that's what Dave Finch is about to do to all of us. As I shared this incredible sit-down interview that I had with him, I want to just tell you, you're about to learn a whole lot from a master of the craft, one of the most sought after, if not the most sought after. And people, don't kid yourself. Marvel and DC are trying to knock down the door and figure out how to reach Dave Finch above and beyond the giant fortress that Robert Kirkman has built around him. They have enjoyed this incredible collaboration. And again, you're about to get it. If you haven't put SKINBREAKER on your pull list, because you've been missing Dave. He hasn't been on your pull list for several years. It's because he was making this. It's because he was putting every artistic ounce into this body of work, which we're about to talk about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy this talk I had with Dave Finch. I learned so much. I had such a great time. And without further ado, this is David Finch on the Rob Liefeld Show. Robservations. Enjoy. And today we are thrilled and honored to be joined by none other than legendary isn't big enough, okay? And I have names. I'm going to throw it at him in just a second here, but Dave Finch. Dave Finch, welcome to Robservations. It is just a highlight to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't tell you what a thrill it is to be here talking to you. I mean, you want to talk about legendary, and thank you. I contest that a bit, but you are a legend in the business. Your work means so much to me, means so much to everyone. I can't believe I'm here.
Hey, Dave, let me just tell you something. We are together here today, and I could not be more excited to share my enthusiasm and to hear all that you're going to say, because I got questions, brother. I got questions. I have been watching with great, tremendous interest the entire trajectory of your career. And I was writing down, like, why do I love Dave Finch's work so much? Why? And people who know me, people in the business who know me, they will testify. I am a giant. I'm a tremendous fan. And just try to unpack a little of that. Dave, I look at you as a fan first, as somebody that I buy everything you do. We'll get back to this in a second, but Brightest Day, okay? I don't buy this book without your covers. I'm busy. The work inside Brightest Day is done by really talented guys, gals, everybody involved. But when you did covers to Brightest Day, and there is an Aquaman cover, this is it. This, I'm holding this cover up for the podcast listeners.
Wow,
Brightest Day 2. It's Brightest Day 2. Aquaman is leaning over a body of water, and It is just one of my favorite shots that I have ever seen of Aquaman, who is an underserved character, I think, to this day, but it's the classic Aquaman. And there's a dark Aquaman in the reflection of this magnificent cover. But the cover to the trade, the cover of the first issue, has all these incredible DC characters. And one thing that I love about your work and respond to as a fan is the strength of your figures, your figure work.
Thank
And I
you.
love faces. I'm a face guy. I think you do some of, if not the best faces and the best figure work. The dynamics of your figures just seem to be always on point. And let me dovetail. So as a fan, growing up, the guys that rose to the top in the late 70s, early 80s, it was
Mhm.
Perez and Byrne. And one thing that united everybody who loved both of those guys when we were having talks in the comic shop was, man, I'd love to see John Byrne draw Phil in that character. I'd love to see George Perez draw Phil. And then when you did, you're like, this is what me and my buddies used to say. I actually lifted this line from a buddy of mine. He's like, whenever John Byrne draws a character, you think this is exactly how this character was always supposed to look. That Aquaman should be all of your Aquaman should be the style guide to how Aquaman looks forever. Like, you are that guy. When you draw a character, as a fan, I go, oh, damn, why didn't we get this version of this character so many issues back so many years ago? So there's how I look at you as a fan, as someone who will spend money liberally on anything you do. And the book that we're here to promote today is this juicy. Yes, that's a $20 tag on it because that's what I paid at Tustin Tunes and Toys. Okay, I was so busy at San Diego, and could I get a free copy from Robert Kirkman? I could, but
Signed.
it's Dave Finch. This is the San Diego preview edition. It is. I have been waiting for this book for many years, as I have had some limited glimpses of it, but man, now I'm holding it in my hands. It was at my store the week after San Diego, and I'm like, I have to have this. And there was a guy behind me who was heartbroken that I got to it before he did Dave. Okay, and then I'm gonna wrap this up so you can speak. As a publisher, I look at you as a guy who I would love to be in business with. And I'm not alone. I know every publisher in the business wants to be in the Dave Finch business, and the reason is I go back to how I view you as a fan. Everybody wants to see you depict their stories and their characters. And here we go, and here's where I'm going to wrap up my laying it on thick with Mr. Finch here, is Dave, I look at you as a historian. This podcast celebrates comic book history. You came in, and unlike many of your peers, and I mean the entire talent pool, I'm not just talking Top Cow, I'm talking everybody from Marvel, DC, Extreme, Wildstorm. Dave, your love of comics shows because you have been doing it for almost 30 years. If it's 30 years, if it's over 30 years, you let me know. But you have a lot of guys came and went. They found different indulgences, but you make comic books and you are a gift. That's what I decided. You are a gift to comic books because you didn't go off and do movie art. You didn't get into storyboards. You didn't get into production design. Your skill set would be great anywhere. So, Dave, that's why I'm excited to talk to you today, because you check so many boxes, okay, buddy? And if people don't tell you this on a regular basis, just call me. I'll anytime you want to hear it. Anytime you want to hear it, buddy. So Skinbreaker is what we are anticipating. What is the street date on Skinbreaker?
September 23rd is when the first issue finally
Okay,
releases.
so we are in the window. We are in the release. Like it's coming. It's coming down the tracks. I am holding again, like I said, the San Diego Comic Con preview book. And was there more than just this one edition?
There was.
Okay, I'm
There's
just happy.
another cover, and I can't remember exactly. There's another cover.
I'm just happy to have this. This is all the line art. And so, Dave, let's jump in and talk about your dedication to Skinbreakers. When did this project start?
I'm ashamed to admit a little bit. I know you know from talking to Robert. I started in 2016.
Okay.
And that's a long time ago now. So and we've been working on the book for this whole time, which, yeah, it's a long time. 8 years, really, all told. Yes.
I look it. The love of what you do is on every figure, on every in every frame. It is the environment when I first saw these pages on Robert's screen, see, I don't think I saw them till probably 2018. He had a good bunch of them. I was at his house. He called them up on the screen. Corey Walker was in the room too, and we were just pouring over these. And the just it's next level. It's for me when I believe people encounter this book, uh, people are going to redefine what they expect out of comic book art, out of the amount of detail, out of the figure work. I'm again, I really believe it is one of those stunning bodies of work where you just go, yeah, how did he construct this? And literally, like, what kind of work went into each and every page? Did every page have a certain amount hourly commitment or days or?
Um, I went into it thinking, okay, I'll be able to do a page pencils in a day, then maybe ink it in a day. It'll take me 2 days they took a week, I would say.
Okay.
And the fact that it took 8 years, clearly it didn't just take a week. There were some pages that I just got lost in, you know. And the problem is that I love it so much. Every minute that I'm spending drawing a page, there's nothing I'd rather be doing. My family, I love spending my time. You know, I don't want to.
Sure, I get you.
But and so it's so hard to let pages go. And also, I knew this very well could be the only time in my career where I'd really get the chance to be able to do what I did with the book. Is such an unusual gift to have gotten, because it's a major commitment from Robert Kirkman and Skybound to give me the time to be able to do it. So I just wanted to make the absolute most of it. I never wanted to finish.
I don't believe that they look back at the time you took to craft this work with anything but complete awe and wonder and excitement. Speaking to what you're talking about, Joseph Loeb III, who you have also worked with, and he cracks me up because he has some of the best phrases and phraseology that has ever been shared with me. But I worked at a comic store when Dark Knight and Watchmen came out in the same year of 1986. And right after Dark Knight 2, so I'm answering the register of everybody wants Dark Knight 3. People who weren't there, there was a giant wait between 3 and 4. And especially, oh my gosh, 4, the phone rang off the hook. And it was like, is Dark Knight 4 in? Is Dark Knight 4 in? There was a convention around that time between 3 and 4, and a couple of the DC reps were like, oh, you just don't even understand if we have to answer one more question, because the anticipation was there. It's been collected in hardcover form for just shy or now, no, I think it's 39 years.
Mm-hmm.
And as Joseph Loeb said, once it's collected in hardcover, Robert, it's forever. And you go, that Dave, when I look at this Skinbreaker, I'm like, where's my giant size Treasury edition? Where's my giant hardcover? I want every edition of this thing because, again, I believe one of the great testaments of your career is, Dave, people will follow you. They will follow you. They'll go, hey, I've never given Moon Knight a try. Oh, I'll deliver the biggest audience ever on Moon Knight, says David Finch. And David, look, we buy comics because they're visual. I bought Moon Knight because you drew it. Okay, I bought multiple issues because you drew it, and I literally was like, and I lived through the Bill Sienkiewicz Moon Knight. That stuff is top draw. It's top draw. I'm like, I don't think I've ever liked Moon Knight more than I like Dave Finch drawing Moon Knight. Okay, so. And that was, and I've seen other people bring it up. You're aware of it. That was a big, needle drop for you. That shook, that shook the industry because it's like, finally, they're letting Dave. I felt like at Marvel there was a little bit of a harness around you, and Moon Knight was the first time where you were able to flex a little more than you could normally flex. And as the fan in me was like, oh my gosh. Then then you go do Batman. Okay, so we're just following you. And the collective audience is following you. And it's because you're so detail oriented. And one thing I need to throw out here that not a lot of guys are, and it's the special sauce. You are a spectacular storyteller. You pick your storytelling, your gestures, your moments, your page turns. You know when to move the camera in, when to pull it back. I see guys today, and I'm like, the camera doesn't have to be in the middle of the page the whole time. I mean, there's a moment to pull it back, and this is what you do, and you do so, I think, incredibly well. And I think Skinbreaker is going to be a book that people, first, they missed you. They have missed you. And so you have anticipation on your side. And when they see this, which also what I really want to lean into with you is this is more of a fantasy endeavor.
Mhm.
This is more of a sci-fi fantasy world, which takes me back to your Ascension roots, is supernatural, but also a fantasy element.
Mhm.
Do you like doing this more than superheroes?
Um, it's different. I do, but then, you know what? I feel like I miss whatever I'm not working on when I'm working on something else. And it took me a long time to realize that I love what I'm actually doing at the time. Like drawing Batman, I love it. You know, earlier on at Marvel, every time I would get on a project, I would get uncomfortable because there's something else I wasn't doing. It took me a while to kind of mature a little bit and say, you know what, like there's so much about this, and I might not get the chance again. So yes, I love doing fantasy stuff, but I love doing superheroes. I love Batman. I love all the characters. I mean, there's so many things, and it's hard to shake the feeling whenever I'm doing anything that I wish I could just be two of me and I could do something else too.
Dave, I'm with you. I have felt it. I only believe I really settled comfortably in the last decade. But see, this is the thing, man. You are the reason I have said like you're a gift is you're prolific. You do the work. You love to tell stories. You're a storyteller. You're not content to just do and look. All praise to the guys who just want to do the covers. I love them, but I don't. When I think of the guys who I love, they told me stories. John Byrne moved me with a story. Art Adams moved me. You moved me with your work. So with Skinbreaker, we're getting this brand new world. Can I ask you, because I really don't know the answer to this question, when did we decide on this name? I think it's a great name, by the way.
Actually, very, very late. Really, that name came about in, I think, the end of May, I want to say. So very, very recently. We had
Whoa.
a different name for it the entire time that I was drawing it. So and now I've gotten used to it now. It's been a couple of months and we've talked about it so much, but it was a little strange to think about it as Skinbreaker for, a little while there.
I think it's a great name. I think that
Yeah.
it's very visceral, which I think is a word that I would use for your art. And I respond to really visceral, like artwork. I've talked about it a lot. And look, it goes back to, in case this is your first, I need to explain to the audience because this could be a trigger word for people. Um, uh, there was $6 Million Man was a show I grew up loving, and his guy that he answered to, who also worked on the Bionic Woman, the actor, because he played both roles. He was kind of their agent that they would send into the field. He directed their operations. He had a commentary track on the $6 Million Man box set, and he just flat out goes, "We were a macho show. We were macho. We were macho." Lee, and he calls Lee Majors, who played the $6 Million Man. It's like he just loved being macho. Taylor Sheridan, all his shows, 1923, Lioness. It's macho. He lives in that macho space. And I'm giving Dave Finch the macho crown because this shit is macho, okay? It's it's action packed. I mean, you don't get more macho than like tribal aliens with like their headgear and their weapons. And okay, like Dave, I'm holding up this enormous double page spread that is just magnificent. It is nothing shy of stupendous. The amount of detail, but again, like I said, you got that great tilted camera, that tilted angle, and then you just draw us into this environment. And I'm just so excited for everybody to get these in their hands. And Dave, please, just trust me. These books are going to be gobbled up. There's nothing like this on the market. There is no one doing this in the comic book market. And trust me, all your artistic brethren are like, damn, damn. And you've heard from some of them, but I will also bear witness. Damn, Dave, this awesome monster jumping at our lead guy here, and all of this foliage. I have heard you talk about some influences on this book.
Yeah.
Can you share with us who you were in your mind kind of maybe seeing as you were pulling from different influences?
The first one for me was Bernie Wrightson right out of the gate.
I see it.
Um, I'm a huge, huge fan, and there are so many times I feel like I can't use that just because. And this is what I say: I always want to work on everything because, and I don't draw like Bernie Wrightson. I wish I could, but there are so many things that I got a chance to play with that I hadn't really had much of a chance, before. Michael Kaluta, another artist, I'm a
Yes.
massive fan of his work. He's incredible. And it's something I just never really got to explore that much. So it pushed me in so many directions. P. Craig Russell is the other big one. So I would say those are the biggest, three influences. And then, oh no, Claire Wendling.
Okay.
I did a few interviews I completely forgot to mention, and it's such an oversight because she was a huge influence on the book for me.
Dave, I see everybody, and I'm gonna, so when you say, because yes, there's no page I look at here and say, oh, that's Bernie Wrightson. I see it's Dave Finch, but what just as Bernie, his Frankenstein plates, his epic celebrated Frankenstein plates that he did not reflect Swamp Thing because he went deeper into the detail. The Swamp Thing work he did was stupendous, but trust me, as a kid encountering, it's like he went for this more meticulous line work. Is that something maybe you're referencing to in terms of like you had time to work out different lighting and different like rendering techniques?
Yeah, for sure. And I tried to reference a lot of his composition too.
Okay.
He's such a master at
Yeah.
composition. Um, I never really got to, I don't know what you call it exactly, but the kind of shot, and Frazetta was so great at this too. It would not actually have a border, and the art itself would kind of create the border as
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
I
Yes.
try, I can't do it. So there's no place in there where I actually did it even once. And I kept thinking there's going to be a place in this book where I'll do that. And I never did.
One of the things about your style that I love, beyond the great storytelling and the incredible figure work, is you have created a very signature rendering style, and as over time you've added to it, which is difficult to do because it's more work. You're just shy of giving us an entire book that is stippled. And if people don't know what stippling is, Google stippling. Okay, it's little dots that make up images. Like, and there are people who produce thousands upon thousands of dots. I mean, Dave, the detail, the rendering, it's all displayed right here on this cover. You have a rendering style that you apply to your figures, which you pull out of a lot of the different black areas, the shading, the rim lighting, and then you have different techniques for the weapons, obviously for the background, different, just I love when you pull these horizontal lines and just slowly build them on one on top of the other. I mean, then you've got this pattern in the background. I mean, you are really, it's a flex. This is a giant flex of rendering technique. Can you tell us about what you're thinking about? When is it just you can't put it down unless you get those last 100 lines? Is Tell me about it.
Um, yeah, I can't put it down until I put down the last 100. I really can't. It's so hard to walk away. Um, really, I would say every little bit of my rendering, every single thing is something that I've taken from other artists. And you're a historian of comics. In some way I kind of am too. Just there's so many artists that do so much amazing work, and there's really nothing that I do that I haven't taken from other comic artists. I wouldn't call myself. I never really studied life drawing or anything like a real artist, you could say. I love
Sure.
comics. It's what I wanted to do. And as a matter of fact, before I found comics, I had no interest in drawing. It just wasn't something that I drew a little. I just didn't care. And when I saw comics, that's when I thought, okay, this is something, I can create worlds here. Like, and worlds that they don't have to be reality. They can be whatever I want them to be, and I love it. So anyway, I'm going on this whole tangent. We're
No,
talking
no,
about
great.
rendering. I feel like I could point every bit of rendering that I do. So much of it is Travis Charest. Charest. I always pronounce it wrong, but
That was an influence on your work 25 years ago. I feel like you left that's not even a zip code you visit anymore, in my opinion. But I understand back like in your Ascension era, I saw it then. But
Mhm.
everybody, like I think I've mentioned on the show, he may. And this is no insult to them. I have sat and talked with Steve McNiven. He
Mhm.
probably became the most Travis Charest of any Travis Charest person ever. But there was a period where, like Art Adams was to our generation, and I've spoken of it often, he was an atom bomb to Jim Lee and to Rob Liefeld and to Todd McFarlane and Eric Larson, and we would talk about it. Like, this guy, like, he turned us on. We wanted to do that. We wanted to reflect that. Travis was that to I saw Travis in Jimmy Chung. I saw Travis in
Hmm.
Steve McNiven. I saw him. I mean, there are countless others. That there are times early on I saw it in Jerome Opeña. I mean, and I saw it with you in Ascension. But like I said, dude, you mentioned Frazetta. You mentioned some others. I'm going to get to one influence that you haven't cited, and I can't not see him, which is so bizarre. But I want the audience to understand when Dave says about being influenced and pulling from influences, there are times you're editors. And for me, in my first year in the business, I got a FedEx box sent to me. Back again, nothing was sent via email. Email did not exist. Everything was overnight express, and it changed the business. It allowed for people to live wherever they wanted rather than to be centered in Manhattan or around New York City. I got a FedEx box, 2 full issues of Mike Mignola's Cosmic Odyssey in pencil form from my editor, who said, Rob, I want you to see this. And he said, I'm going to ask you, and he did not know how many books of this other artist I already had of all his paintings. He said, I want to ask you something. First and foremost, what do you see when you look at this? And I said, I see a ton of Frank Frazetta. And he goes, I didn't expect you to get it on the first try, but yes, Mike is channeling. He tells everybody he's channeling Frazetta during his Cosmic Odyssey. And if anyone has not seen Cosmic Odyssey, I think that and a book called Phantom Stranger, which was inked by Craig Russell, who you've already mentioned. Those 2 bodies of work are some of my favorite, outside of like year 1 of Hellboy, my favorite Mike Mignola stuff. But my editor's like, I wanted you to see it. I wanted you to absorb it. So we as young talent were also told by our bosses many times, you could work this into your work. I think this would fit into your work. So it's fun, and sometimes it's easier when you're being told. Like, do that. I see this. And so like it's just, whether we seek it out ourselves or sometimes the people we work with instruct us, and who knows, I didn't see a single script of SKINBREAKER. There may be a movie reference that Robert dropped into, like, hey, I'm thinking of something along these lines from another visual component so that you would understand what he was saying. So we're trading influences all the time as artists. And like I said, I just think I see the Frazetta. I go back to your strong figure work. We love, the glorified heroic figure and the hero and the heroine. And it was really laid out wonderfully in How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by John Buscema.
Yeah.
Great looking guy. He's 6 foot, but here's Captain America. He's 6'5", and this is how Marvel superheroes look. And when I was a kid, I just that just hit me so hard. And with you, I think you draw, like I said, some of the best, most incredible figures, and they never lose their dynamics. But Dave, I see some Barry Windsor Smith red nails in here, and you're going to go, Rob, I've never heard of it.
Oh no, I've got
Okay.
a huge one. I've got the big full book. I never say that? Yeah,
No.
you know what?
Right here. I got mine too.
Yeah, that's a huge one it's a big influence on the book. Probably actually maybe a bigger one than some of the others, just because I love Bernie Wrightson. I don't draw like Bernie Wrightson.
No. But you also don't draw like Barry Windsor Smith. I see it in some of the approach to inking, and then massively the attention to environment. There's nothing in here that you're going to find, like, so just so we're clear, and for people who understand when influence. Look, in the early 2000s, and I named a couple to a producer, a friend of mine, and he's like, "Oh, Rob, you're leaving out these 5 guys." Everybody started shooting their movies like James Cameron. They lit them with this very hot and cold lighting, a lot of blue rim lighting. I mean, there are tricks that people pick up and take forward, and big names. Christopher Nolan is going to tell you that he's influenced by James Cameron. Period. End of story. Maybe the greatest guy we have now is telling you, he's influenced by one of the greats of all time. So when I see it's the foliage, it's the I'm going to draw every wrinkle on this tree. It's the approach that you brought to this, which makes it so time consuming. And I can't believe I've gotten this far into this and not told. If you don't know this, Dave taped two pieces of 11 by 17 paper together for every page, correct?
Yes.
So that's called Twice Up.
Twice Up. Yeah.
Do you have that work?
You mean with me now?
No, 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 not to show the audience. I'm just curious, has like Dave, I'm now thinking like how many people have knocked on your door? Hey, when you're ready, I'd be very interested in purchasing those. Because Dave, these are magnificent. This is the kind of stuff you would frame and put on your wall. And people would be like, that's comic book art? No, it's not. I mean, that's how incredible this work is.
Well, thank you. I do have all of it, actually. I gave Robert a double page spread. But other than that, I've got all of the art, and I want to hang on to it. I've always sold all my art, you know. I've never really been that close to when it's done. It's done. I want to work on the next thing, and with this one, again, I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to do something like this again. I'm not getting any younger. None of us are, you know.
So you were able to do whatever you wanted, given the freedom that you were given in working with Robert in crafting this story. Did you ever call him up and go, "Can I get another 5 pages out of this? I'd like to expand this." How did the back and forth work?
We mostly just talked and gossiped. Like I would, you know, call him or he'd call and we would just gossip. We barely talked about work because you know what, like his scripts are they're not long. They're not, you know, there's tons and tons of detail, but what he has is so succinct. I understood where he's coming from. So we would talk about it a little bit, but I'm not the most communicative, and I'd love to just being able to take the script and take it into my own head and just do my own thing and turn it in. And we had one instance where I went way too far with that and had to fix it. But other than that, there were times I would come up with like little mythologies in my own head while I'm sitting there spending hours drawing pages, and it would just get left in there. And it would just, I think there are some things that I included that I don't think I've ever actually talked about at all. And so they really mean nothing, but they're in there for me. And then there are others that actually
Hey, give us an example. Where would we find one?
You know, so I don't think I ever mentioned this, but nobody has a beard in the whole story, except for whoever is in charge. And so that actually changes throughout the story. And women that are in charge have feathers in their hair. Nobody else does. And I kept meaning to say something about that, and I don't think I ever actually did. So
it's literally something that is only a visual cue for the rest of us. Because I love that, Dave. That is so killer. Look, as I'm talking to Dave again, there is this menacing figure towards the end of this preview, with again this incredible power. This figure has weight. It is this is a formidable figure. The lighting on the face, the rim lighting, the cast shadows. This is just. I just can't wait to get into the meat and the bones. And you know what? I loved it so much that I never asked Robert a whole lot about it over the years. I'd just see the pages. I'd walk, shake away, like literally, and I've talked about this, and artists know what this means. When Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X work was coming into Marvel, I don't think you can find an artist that didn't leave a little humiliated, a little like, am I going to give this up tonight? Because I can't touch that. Like Weapon X spilled out into the business like overnight. People in New York City were grabbing pages. They were Xeroxing them on the spot, taking them, and it was great. Marvel wanted, again, people to rate. Weapon X was raising the bar. Can you raise the bar to meet this? Mm-hmm. This is the kind of work I think we're talking about. I know we're talking about with what you've achieved here on SKINBREAKER, and Dave, it's so impressive. But beyond the incredible art, which look. If this had no word balloons, this would have a giant audience. They just pick it up at admiring the craft. But tell us, how many issues is SKINBREAKER?
It is 8 issues. They're long issues, and they're not all entirely even. Originally, it ended up being well over double the size that we originally planned, that Robert initially planned.
Fantastic.
And so it was going to be all one big book, and we're going to publish it at a big size, and that would be it. And ultimately, it just grew to the point where we thought, okay, well, I say we, I just draw the pictures, but yeah, Robert decided it'd be probably a good idea to put it out in issue format. And we're also doing a treasury edition, so a larger format.
Mm.
And the word balloons from from the smaller comic to the larger comic are the same size. So it's the larger format, you get more art. Also, I drew the pages so big that when they're shrunk down to like a regular size, there's a decent amount of detail that just it closes up. I mean, even with
Sure.
the kind of printing we have nowadays. So, and I haven't seen the larger size printed. I'm really looking forward to seeing, the pages kind of a little more how they were intended.
I think it was a great decision. I had no vote, I had no say, but I can react. I think it's a great decision to break it up and make them singles for the community, because it's going to generate, again, a ton of excitement. There's nothing like this out here. That people have missed your work. It becomes instantly more accessible. And to go back to Joseph Loeb III, it'll be collected forever. Okay, it's going to be eventually. It's going to be on our shelves, and we can pull them off just the way we pull off Red Nails and Bernie Wrightson and all these other greats. And I just I absolutely love it. Now, let me sit here. I don't want to butcher the name. Is it Annalise? What tell me the colorist.
Annalisa Leone.
Okay, okay, there. I'm so glad you said it and I didn't. I hate to say it. Growing up having my name mispronounced my whole life to this day. I'll do it later today. Someone will hit me with a Liefeld, Liefeld, whatever. So I'm very, very cautious. So thank you for saying that. Here's I keep showing the black and white, but in the back we see. I presume this is the cover to number one, not just for this preview.
It is.
And then we've got a juicy assortment of variants that I hope people get their hands on. But was this your first collaboration with this colorist?
Almost my first. She
Okay.
did a Oblivion song cover over me
Okay.
just before, and she has worked with Robert for a long time. She colored Oblivion song,
Yes.
and I've got that book, and I mean it's a beautiful book. The colors are so inventive. So it was exciting to get her to do Skinbreaker, and I left her alone. I find. Yeah, I think you get the best work out of somebody when you say, you know what, do it your way.
Yeah.
And there's not too many constraints, and, just let somebody be creative. And so both of us, we really kind of just let her go. And she just was so not only really great at taking some of the panels that were overly detailed and got a little bit muddy. It just happened because I detailed to the point where it kill it sometimes. And she would just bring so much depth to those panels, all the panels. But just her colors are so. So I've got one. Okay.
I love it.
This
Sure.
one's this one's
We
colored. Here's the
Oh,
first.
you have a colored one. Okay. That's beautiful. Yes. No, look, the stuff that I've seen, and for our audience, Dave is holding up
Yeah.
page one, and it is, I really do believe she's very unique in her approach. She's very original. And you're right. She breaks everything up into planes so that all of your work gets the foreground, middle ground, and background very clearly to absorb. It is,
Yeah.
Dave. It's a testament, it's a testament to the detail in this. And I want to keep hitting it because look, there were a lot. Look, when Art Adams hit, and the reason he couldn't do more work is because it was so detailed. You look at his Asgardian Wars, and it was like
Mhm.
nothing anybody was doing. And I mean, again, that this work leaves that work in the dust. Now, ironically, I would talk to. I think he's one of the greatest inkers of all space and time. He certainly hasn't done a lot of work in the last 20 years, but Terry Austin at his peak was the guy that everybody was begging, please Terry ink me because of just how he represented everyone's lines and his very unique approach that no one really could ever emulate. He was one in a million. He loved inking art, and they did a lot together. But he did admit once, and Art will attest to this. Terry's like, I think I lose money inking Art Adams because I can't ink pages as fast because it's such a commitment. Um, so that's I'm seeing that level of detail here, and I guess the great thing is that you ink your own work. And look, here's the deal. Do you use? I want to get into a little process with
Mhm.
how you craft the work. So Dave, and this I will be learning this along with the audience. when you design a page, as you're looking at the whatever the plot, the script that's been laid out for you, do you do thumbnails of any kind?
I go directly to the page unless I can't figure it out, and then I do thumbnails. And I would say probably more than half the time, I get to a point where even just with a panel, I'm just struggling to kind of, I just want to get the shot right. And so I'll do a bunch of thumbnails. So I never do like a proper thumbnail with the whole page. I'm kind of more just thumbnailing the images. Once I've got the images, I can kind of see it put together, or I can just, and I basically what I do is, so I learned storytelling over a long time. Of course, I mean, there's so much that you have to learn over the years, but what made comics initially so accessible to me, I was drawing from how to draw comics the Marvel way. I was looking at some Bridgman. I was, copying some art, and I was having a great time with it. But I got the, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but I got the video that you did with Stan Lee.
No, I did not. Okay, I am, I'm hearing about this for the first time. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this from other artists a million times.
Okay.
But
it's why we made them. It's why we made them.
The highlight of that whole thing, and there's always something like one thing ideally one thing you get out of something like that is just, it's like a game changer. And for me, it was watching you do a page layout, and I couldn't believe it because I'm looking at these complex images, and to try and make sense of that and figure all that out on the page, and it was just, it's too much. I couldn't really get a handle on it. And to just see things broken down into such like simple shapes, just clear, and I could see it. And you're drawing like just a simple thing, but that's that whole panel. It's all there. The rest is detail, and it just changed my life. That was like such a big moment.
The fact that you do thumbnails, and for the audience, a thumbnail is basically at its most base, it's a stick figure layout and composition of how you are going to approach the page, each panel, the storytelling, the angles, the shots. And so the fact that you do it on the page, you are like without fear. Because people like me, the reason we don't is it's fear. We take extra steps to get there. And trust me, it's very time consuming. My wife knows, I'm like, I'm going to go print out the blue lines. Like I hate scanning and printing. And I know that I wish I would just have the balls to put it on the page. So Dave, I did not know your answer. So I'm even more impressed. This is crazy. So you lay out on the Bristol. On the double-sized Bristol.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess you said, are we going back to that, or was that just for SKINBREAKER? Is 2 up the rest of your life?
I wish I could say that it was. I really do. But and it will be again.
TBD,
but I'm actually back to it. What's that?
I said TBD, to be determined?
To be determined, yeah.
Okay.
I'm working on a project right now that I'm drawing at regular size.
Okay.
So,
well, your regular size is why we fell in love with you. So that's going to be just fine. This was truly a special. I mean, it makes SKINBREAKER even more special, in my opinion. That for the time being, this will be the one that had that treatment. Thumbnails. So you lay out your page. You go to pencil when you're inking yourself. How refined are the pencils?
It started out fairly refined. So some of the first pages were mostly penciled. I just hadn't really inked that much. Like I've had inked before, but I never really got comfortable. Pretty quickly though, I'm very lazy. There's no way around it. I'm very lazy. So anytime I can just avoid, doing extra work.
Okay.
So I just started doing something pretty rough and then just inking. The biggest tool that made that possible really is the Posca, the white Poscas.
Yes.
And so what I do is I just use my thin 0.1 micron, and I do basically a cartoon. And if I don't like it, I can just use the Posca. And I can always tell just with a rough sketch if like the arm is working, or if so I work through the pose and make sure that the overall figure is working, and then it happened here and there where a figure just wasn't working, and then it's like major reconstruction and ink, and I'm paying for it. But for the most part, yeah, I did most of the work in ink.
That's incredible. I mean, I love hearing this. I'm going to have to stand over your shoulder when you do convention sketches at the next show and watch this process in action. Because I'm assuming this is how you do it, when you're at a show and you're taking a commission list. Same thing?
There's actually, no difference. Really, the difference is time,
It's so you have a tremendous shorthand that you've developed for yourself, which No one would know. No one would know. You really are incredibly gifted, Dave. It's such an honor to talk to you, to hear all these different elements of how you put your pages together, because I certainly didn't know. What I want to, and trust me, so many guys in the business are going iPad layouts.
Hmm.
Uh, and I mean, they've told me, Ryan Stegman has told me, Ryan Otley, they do layouts on an iPad, and if I could make that work for myself, I think maybe that's a step I would try, because it feels like I'd save some time. But then they then hit scan 11 by 17 and then go to final inks. Also, both gentlemen are very capable, have it, I think, a shorthand as yourself, and that they just go right in and can start constructing the figure in ink. So no digital tools for Dave. We are on the paper. We are thumbnailing, building it up, and going to ink. Now I want to talk about ink. Oh, what are the tools that you are using to manifest these incredible pages?
I'm using a Micron 01,
Okay.
and that's just a fixed size. So, it's not pressure sensitive essentially, and it's
Sure.
very relatively thin. I use a Tombow Furunosuke. I don't know even what that means, but what it is the
Japanese brushes or
yes,
Japanese
and
pens.
so it's a brush pen, but it's actually very stiff, and I
Okay.
can get a lot of detail, especially you get them new out of the bag, and you can get a lot out
Oh
of them.
no, I'm aware.
Yep.
The fresh out of the bag or fresh out of the container is like, only artists understand. You're like, oh, this is when it's going to be so perfect. I know, and I try and get as much out of each pen, but I know halfway through I'm like, can I just break out a new one? And I
Yeah.
can't. I have to. So a Tombow. Um,
Tombow.
it,
Tombow has of the kind that I use. It's got two hardnesses. One is a soft and one's a hard. I use the hard just because I find it easier to control. And then I use a brush pen, like a Pentel.
okay.
I don't actually know what it's called. All the writing on it is in Japanese, even the packaging.
Okay.
But I know if you're interested and you're watching or you're listening, if you go into Amazon and you just type in Pentel brush pen, you'll find it.
Just so you know what Dave is. So I talked to you earlier about Barry Windsor Smith. I hunted down the exact crow quills that he was using because I want to try it on a future project, and those are those nibs are in here. But my nib, I'm holding it up to camera, and you can see that I could not tell you what any of this said outside of when the website that I went and obtained it. It is all in, I assume, Japanese.
Yep.
And so this is what Dave's talking about. Some of these items, this will hold my nib. My nib will go here at the top. I will use it. So your pens come the same way. I look. They make great tools. Come on. My son was in Japan for about a month, and he said, "Dad, you would lose your mind in the art stores there. I know you." And I should have asked him earlier, not the last day before his trip, because like, Dad, I can't go back. Like, Dad, that's not near me. But I'm gonna go and rate it myself. Have you been?
No, and I think we're
Yeah.
going to get a chance to go this year. I'm fingers
Good.
crossed. I've never been, so yeah, hopefully.
No, I think Skinbreaker is going to take you a lot of places. Tell me again about the story. What is the journey these characters are on in Skinbreaker? Now that we know the tools and your approach to crafting this, what is the journey?
The story is about a tribe that's facing a very uncertain future. Things are changing, and their old way of life that they've lived for eons, however long, uh, is starting to break down. And so it comes down to the choice of which direction they're going to go in the future. And some people want to try and innovate and try different things. And other people resist, that change, which, I mean, I think either position is understandable. Everybody's afraid. And it's a real psychological story in that way. It's a very smart story. And I love that it's the kind of story that, it lets the reader judge, who's right and who's wrong. It's also a story about family,
Hmm.
family, bonds. Robert is so much better at this than I am. I'm so
No,
sorry,
no, no, no.
Robert.
You're
You ever
great.
hear this?
Look. Is the passage of time something that comes into play here? What is this all in a year? Is it over a decade? What's the timeline for this book?
It's actually a pretty significant chunk of time. It's a generational story, so
Okay.
it follows characters really throughout their life, and there are fathers and sons, and it covers a lot of ground.
There's a look when I first saw it, and I saw your depiction of these characters. Is do they have a race? Is their name? I
You
wouldn't
know,
know.
they don't
Okay,
know.
fantastic. So our characters and the journey that they're on. When I saw the pages initially, because I'm just an instinct guy. I said to Robert, I go, this feels like Avatar to me. This feels like Avatar. Now, Avatar is a movie that especially the first one, that I absolutely love. That third act will get me off the couch each and every time, and it is, and just so you know, and our listeners know, because that movie came out in 2009,
Mhm.
and there was tremendous doubt, and the industry openly laughed at him because that business is even meaner than comics. And when it came out, there's even a noted comic book person, a famous figure. I won't say their name. They deleted everything they said about Avatar coming out of a preview screening. They were openly laughing at it, mocking it, and being like, "This is ridiculous! No, dinosaurs versus helicopters." Oh, no, no, he said dragons. And I remember I took a screenshot to save forever, for all time, because I'm like, this is a guy who's convinced himself he has better instincts than James Cameron, which is hilarious. But so when I give you the Avatar like drop, it is with the greatest respect, because I think what that movie achieved in getting all of us to pack in the movie theaters every time he releases one, uh, and we are rooting for blue-skinned aliens who have these different proportions, these long, skinny
Mhm.
waists, but they move cool, they look cool. It's an escape. Skinbreaker to me is an escape, and Barry Windsor Smith, why that generation, and if you go to that generation, which is right before me, they lost their minds over the stuff he did on Conan, because it wasn't Batman or Superman or the X-Men or anything that was going on. And this is not far from when Neil Adams is flexing all over the industry, and is in my no one has taken the crown from Neil, and he just had an art book that was released that it was one of those, oh my God, this is the most humiliating experience looking at this, all this work in 11 by 17. I own some Neil Adams. I wish I owned all those, but he really shook up the industry. But Barry Windsor Smith just rocked everybody, because I think they're like, we don't get this anywhere else. We don't get this Conan figure, this brooding figure in this almost alien world environment. Because I mean, he Conan in the opening chapter of Red Nails is attacked by basically kind of a dragon dinosaur creature, and those people, when they tell me how they treated it in real time, it's because, again, it's something different. And it was done at a master craft level. So once again, Skinbreaker, I believe, checks every single box. I'm Dave. I'm going to try and buy at least every cover you did. I'm very bad at this, because as an old man, I do not have the stamina to get to the comic store when all of the crowds, uh, you know, my local comic store is having a resurgence, which is great.
Yeah.
And I filmed some content in their store last week, and he even said, he goes, Rob, I don't know if you noticed how busy it was today. I'm like, it's a Tuesday, yes. And the guy who was with me said, it will be busier tomorrow. I said, you won't be able to move in these aisles for about 3 hours tomorrow. I've been there; it's crazy. I am hoping to grab at retail, because I like to support my retail. I want to support my retailer, and I think the spend on the shelf, watching those books disappear, is powerful. Um, I think people are in for a ridiculous treat. Is there anything about the process? The Posca is a great tip. I didn't know you used Posca, and that was a great whiteout. Okay, that I have nothing but white Poscas in the other room for when I sign. But I did not know there was an artistic component. So Dave, thank you for taking me to school today. Okay,
Oh yeah,
so
they're great. They're great. Yeah, and you can ink over them. Maybe not with a crow quill.
right, no, 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 no. I change it up. I use a lot of you know uh, different tools. Look. Truth be told, I think everybody in Extreme Studios, when a gentleman named Stephen Platt came to be on site with us, no one had ever seen anybody get lines out of markers that he'd gotten, and he attacked. I had come from the Croquill school, and in the studio, whether it was Art Taber or Danny Mickey, or everybody was using quills and brushes. And Stephen came in and popped these markers open and just like got these incredible lines, which just spoke to his own talent and his own approach and his aggression. But so yeah, no, I try and I've adopted markers since then and tried to work them into all the different tools I use. But I love learning tools. I love that you use so for the tree and the figure and the foliage and the grass, all the same tool.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a process. So
Okay.
it's always the simple cartoon shape, getting everything thrown in just with my thin micron. I did actually start. So some of these pages from issue one, even most of issue one is actually a quill.
Ooh, ooh. Okay.
I
Full attention. Full attention.
struggled with a quill a lot. It was hard.
Okay.
Quill is a
Okay.
tough tool to
It
use.
is.
And I found I was getting more comfortable with it. The
Mm-hmm.
limitation that I found though is it's very difficult to draw with a quill. It's
Yeah.
easier to ink if you have everything established because then you can turn it to your line. But if I'm just drawing, I find the marker tools easier. And so that was the main reason I switched.
Well, your mentioning of the point 0.1 micron is look. So every piece that I ink, and I've been largely inking myself for the last 20, 25 years. I also start with now I'm inking. They're not polished pencils. We all know as artists, we don't polish up pencils for ourselves. We polish them when they're going to go into someone else's hands. I don't think I've never done what you're telling me you do, which is you draw with the micron as if it's with the casualty. You draw with it casually as if it was a lead pencil, which I dig that because you're right. It is a very thin, razor thin line. The first tool that I apply to all my pages is I do all the small the O1 stuff too, and then I build out as the page goes. But Dave, the fact that you are drawing in a micron one is rad. Like that is awesome. Like that again, that's some confidence. And Dave, you're such a nice guy. But I would describe, I think everything about you and your work reeks of confidence. And it's just awesome to listen to and to behold. And like I said, the discipline. You've generated thousands of pages in your career, thousands. Not just a few hundred, not a couple. I mean, you have put a lot of guys who've been in this business longer in the rearview mirror with the amount of work you've done, and it's only going to obviously increase. 8 issues are they 30 Are they 30 pages each? What are we looking at?
Don't hold me to that because I could be wrong, but they're
Okay.
certainly longer than standard issues, and
Yeah.
it does change. So one issue will be. I don't want to throw out a number because if I'm wrong, I don't want somebody to
No,
say,
no, I
"Hey,
understand. I get mine wrong all the time too. I operate somewhere between 28, 32. I say the wrong things. The thing that's important to know, guys, is for the most part, and I'm not trying to drag the corporations, but it is something I've noticed, and I was held to hard and fast on my last Marvel job, was do not break, you cannot go over 20 pages an issue, which I'm like, wait, when did we go backwards from 22 to 20? And randomly on a live stream the other night, I grabbed a book. I had just purchased Spider-Man and Deadpool. I'm sorry, Spider-Man and Wolverine by Kari Andrews and Mark Guggenheim. And I did not know, and I counted it on live stream, 20 pages. It's adhering to the same. So these comics, when you breaking outside of Marvel and going into Image and whatever you're paying for this, which is a very competitive price, and I think that matters in today's market. You're getting more bang for your buck. You're getting more. You're getting a lot more lines. Okay, I'm thinking. Tom DeFalco told me I did some Warlord pages from DC, and I shared them with Tom DeFalco, and he said, we don't pay you by the line, and there are times, I think of that, and we both know of like I wish I could be that guy who was so confident to just be the gesture guy, just gesture guy, and
oh
there's
yeah,
so many great gesture guys, but
yes."
the amount of bang for your buck, lines, pages, art, skin breaker is phenomenal. I've said it multiple times during this interview. They're gonna scoop these up, Dave. They're gonna scoop these up. These the audience can't wait to hold this, and I believe it is the new standard. This book is the new standard for. Oh yeah, you think your work's detailed? This is detailed, kids. This is incredible. I'm excited to take the entire journey. I wanted to. So we'll give this one more bump at the end, and I love the process. So I'm going to jump back into asking you about the point one. When did you start that approach to your work? Was it just on? So you were crow quilling. So did you start with this job because it goes back, many years, or was that something you were doing earlier?
No, I started with this job. So the thing about any kind of like microns, they've got, I don't know how many different sizes. You can go all the way down to point oh oh, who knows, And so I tried a few different sizes, and I found that O1 was thin enough that I could get any kind of detail. Like no matter how small a figure is, I can kind of get that with an O1. If I go smaller than that, things start getting exponential. Like I'll be there for, it just never happened. And I did actually. There were a couple of pages where I was using the 005, and I thought, wow, this is, I had to stop. So I limited myself to an O1. It's thin enough. And anything thicker than an O1, I just found the Tombow. Just, I can get that easier with a Tombow. I can also get a thin to thick. And so, yeah, it to me, it represents the closest thing to the line I can get from a sharp pencil.
Oh, Dave, I am so turned on by this. The art, like, I just love hearing approaches, and people who like. Look, here's the other thing that only guy I've seen do two up, and I don't know if he's doing it anymore, but it was, I want to say it was 2017. There was an Image Comics anniversary celebration, so I flew up with Robert. We went to Oregon, wherever, or Washington. Wherever Image was at the time, and we all the only person not in attendance was Todd, and so we were all the founders sitting around hanging out talking. I followed Eric Larson to his room after dinner to watch him work because like I got to do some Savage Dragon pages. I say, hey, can I watch you? He was doing two up Savage Dragon pages. And he would, I mean, they're sprawling. He'd unfold them, and he did say like, "Oh, it's different carrying these around from like when you travel." And he's like, I used to. He told me he used to work in the, and he has been very open about this. And I don't know how he inks on an airplane with the constant shaking, but
Oh
he
yeah.
does. But he says he couldn't anymore with the twice up. But yeah, that twice up was fun. He did a lot of heavy brush work because he was going for definitely a different dynamic. But that size is just crazy. But again, watching him, and that's why, you know, I'm sure you watched artists work in your studio. You watch different people how they approach. There's so much to learn because everyone is very unique in how
Mhm.
they approach. Now, I've seen really lush pencils from you that other inkers have inked. And do you believe that you will have someone else ink your work going forward, or will you ink your own work from now on?
It's going to be a mix, actually. So the sacrifice of inking my own work is that I can't do as much work. You know, um, I love having the control. I can put things in that are really difficult for me to put in a pencil. It's nice to have the whole process. But I do actually love working with a good inker too. Like I found Danny Mickey is a substantial part of my style. I learned so much from working with him.
Mm.
Matt Banning also. Um, I learned from the inkers that I work with. So the next project that I'm doing, I am just doing pencils, and it means that I can do, a little bit more work, which I'm very excited about. I will ink again. I wouldn't
Okay.
ever want to not do it again, but at the same time, there are so many things I'd like to do, and yeah, I miss the process of working with a good inker.
No, hey, you have been inked and collaborated with some of the best. Danny
Mhm.
Mickey, Matt Banning also signed, like you said, signed his work as Bat. Uh,
Richard Friend.
Richard Friend, Scott Williams has inked
Yeah.
you maybe a couple times.
Uh,
Um,
in
Art to
one
Bear-
period, I managed it. So I think Jim Lee was busy with some stuff, and so I got like this little window, and I took it as long as I could. It was great.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you have some of that art?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, I just
And
wanted
this
to,
is
I just because again, like you said, to look at it and stare at it.
yeah.
I have like different pieces. I think by everybody but him. Uh, but I have some pages from Danny and from John Sabal and from uh, uh, yeah, I just was but from Bat. I have the stuff
Mhm.
Bat inked over me. Um, Art to Bear. That's what I was looking. Art to Bear, who as an inker changed over time. When
Mhm.
I used to go over to his house when he had broken in and I hadn't, and there was a Titan Spotlight issue with Aqualad. The whole issue was Aqualad, and he had lightly penciled it, but was inking everything in brush. And his board, he had it like, what do you call that? Like, it was like, he was like, it was almost like an art canvas. Um, and so watching him ink with brush, and then he picked up a quill when he was inking Dan Jurgens on Adventures on on Superman, and then I'm like, Art, you got to ink me, Jim Lee. Art, you got to ink. I mean, he added a quill to his already base of brush, and boy, because he's inked you as well, right? Art's inked
Yep.
you on, was it Ultimate X-Men?
I,
Is it,
Ultimate X-Men, yeah. And a book called The Call.
yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were going to. There's going to be a so this is our first, our first interview. Our second one, I'm going to go with a lot more deep dive stuff. I hope there's a second time, because this is so much fun learning about your entire process and your approach. Um, do you know who's inking you on the new one, or is it something you can't say?
Sandra Hope.
Ooh, she's really talented.
She's so
Yeah, no,
incredible.
she's. There's that whole. Let's be honest. The '90s produced one of the greatest class of inkers and embellishers ever, because all my guys will tell you they got to sit and learn from Art Taber and Dan Panosian, and then Danny Mickey quickly adapted to become a teacher and not a student. And then from you guys had he called himself Detron,
Yeah, that's
and
right. Yeah.
Matt Banning, and fantastic inkers.
Hmm.
Obviously, Scott Williams is the godfather of, I think, this entire approach. Where Sandra Hope was a Wildstorm. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Am I
She was
right? Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Oh man, Dave, I can't wait to see it. I can't. Has she inked you before?
She has. She inked some Batman over me. I want to say 2 issues over with Batman and a couple of covers. So she did some GI Joe covers that I just did. So yeah, I knew I loved her work. So it was kind of a no brainer.
Something I want to circle back to that I forgot to ask you in regards to your colorist, and how you said you just let them do your own thing. See, because the audience needs to know that, Dave, you are quite an accomplished painter. I know you're going to downplay it, but you've had a number of painted works published, covers, uh, and you've done YouTube tutorials. People can watch you on your social media, on your YouTubes. You understand light, dark, color theory. So that you're not a guy who does not bring a palette in his mind to the page. So I think it's even more impressive that you just stand back and let your colorists do their own thing, because you know what you're doing. You know color. You know color theory. So you're just because you've learned. And in some of my favorite paintings, I've seen like what you do with paint and with color, and I have one of them right here. This is very stark and awesome, and incredibly appropriate. Don't you dare groan. This is badass. Okay, your Batman is phenomenal. Okay, and so whenever you started painting, will there be more Dave Finch painted covers?
There will be as much as I
Okay.
possibly can all the time. It's storytelling is always going to be my favorite. I think if it weren't for how much I love being able to tell a story and work with a great writer, and it's the best. I would have probably went just to painting a long time ago, because I love doing it. It's there's nothing quite like it.
A buddy of yours, I'm going to be talking to soon, Eric Gist,
Yes.
is quite a talented painter. Do you guys ever jam together, like via like set up a camera, or do you go to his place when you visit? Because I know sometimes you visit. Do you
Yep.
guys ever like jam together? Because
We
he
have.
teaches. Okay,
So I had him on my. I've got a YouTube channel, which you mentioned a
promote
minute
it.
ago, and
Yep.
I had him on my channel twice. So he did a gouache painting. We were kind of following along with that. We did some oil. That was great. I also, so he's also an instructor at the Watts Atelier, which is an
Hmm.
incredible school run by Jeffrey Watts in San Diego. So I paid the money. I was a student. I had a great time.
That's great.
Yeah. So um, I learned from Eric and from all the instructors there, and students there, and so yeah.
Well, Dave, like I remember walking into the store and like going, he's painting now, like, and getting even more turned on. Because audience, comics turn you on. That you all know. You know how you feel when like, wow, this is just completely connecting with me. There's a Lobo uh, that I saw that you painted that, oh my gosh, Dave, what I wouldn't kill for a Lobo Dave Finch like painted graphic novel, but I'm not sure that's on your docket for the rest of your life. But I mean, like, I love it when you do it. So I'm sure we will all uh, look forward to whenever you're going to paint again, whenever you do that.
Well,
Because,
I'm jealous of Eric because he's doing Youngblood covers right now. So
hey, Dave, you've been busy. You've been kind of busy, but you brought it up. So here, check this out. I'm going to tell you because this is the thing about. So I inked you on this Youngblood cover, and I have never been more intimidated. I have the line art version, and trust me, people, all I thought the entire time was don't upset. You always think when you're going to ink somebody that you're going to put some of your own work in there, and I was like, I have to be faithful to every line. And also, brother, you are a dense penciler. Like it is, you're that Terry Austin. Like this was not achieved quickly. You can't speed up the inks. You have to really. The color version, Brad Anderson crushed it.
oh, he's
Just
so good. Yeah.
incredible, incredible light source. And then just for fun and kicks, a guy who had commissioned you to draw Profit. I called you up. I said, Dave, I want to use this. I want to pay you. I want to pay the team. I want to, basically, and you could have easily said no. And I was prepared for no because it certainly wasn't something you drew for a cover. But like, I'm like, like in my head, I immediately saw like a 10-year run on Profit. Okay, because I'm a fan. I have a healthy imagination, right? So Eric is fantastic. The cover all of his covers. I have just one. The great thing that I'm going to be able to talk to him is, I think a lot like you in your career, he just took to it, and you started every piece, bested the last piece, bested the last piece. When you see people who are quick studies, and I do want to look. You came on my radar when you were doing Ripclaw. Am I correct? Did you do Ripclaw or no? Did you do covers for Ripclaw?
I did. I did. That was actually
Okay.
my first comic. I did a Ripclaw one half. It was a Wizard magazine, back when they were doing the one half issues. Remember that? And so yeah, that was the first book that I ever did.
There was a ton of exciting young talent happening in the
Mhm.
early 90s. And you had the benefit of being mentored by one of, I think, the all time greats. And this show has made no bones about how much we admire Mark Silvestri's talents.
Mhm.
And again, master storyteller, always reinvents himself with every job. Just completely, and like yourself, the work that he did, the Batman Joker, he did not rush himself. He took his time, and that book is on our bookshelves forever. And we all are like, has anyone ever drawn a better Joker? Has Batman ever looked this incredible? But having Mark as an instructor, because we would all sit around. I'll keep this to myself. Well, there was a number of us who, when we would get around, we would tell, and I can say that Todd, myself, and Eric would all, and Valentino would all openly tell Mark that he was the greatest talent among us, because we felt it. It's like, I'm sure when all the quarterbacks get together, you don't sit down with Tom Brady and don't acknowledge that he's just better than you are, okay? Or Joe Montana. And so it was easy to do because we had tremendous admiration. So you got to be mentored by him. And some of the podcasts I've listened to, you've talked about he would sit down with your pages and give you instructions. Is there
Yep.
one like light bulb moment, something that he saw was able to unlock in you?
There were so many because he would work in the studio with us and he would just walk around and spend his time. And he's on a monthly book at the time. He's at the
Oh yeah.
table working and he would spend time with each of us and go over what we're doing, explain how to make it a little better, and even, draw on the page. So there are some early pages of mine that's got like an arm from Mark Silvestri and, it's pretty cool.
You got it. When I'm with you next time, you point that stuff out to me. I love that kind of stuff. That
Yeah,
is so rich.
it's a thrill. Yeah. I remember cringing every time he would come out to my desk because I would always like I never wanted to show him. I look back at it now and I think like, what was I thinking? It's like the greatest resource, but
Oh,
it's tough when you're a young artist to not be self-conscious.
well,
The
he could not be more proud of you, Dave. That is something that everyone who knows him, and I'm sure he's told you. I mean, Again, you're a guy who came in at a time where when the times got rough in the 90s, ironically, you blew up and got even more acclaim with Ascension. Like, you want to talk about right book, right time, right instincts, and that matters. Ascension
Mhm.
was the right book, the right time. I think the right expansion of your talents. If you have not seen Dave's work on Ascension, he's probably like, Rob, don't. It's early work. It's freaking beautiful. Still, I was flipping through it earlier. I feel like that was your first. Maybe that was the end of your first act. Okay, and we're on like Act 15. Okay, but I loved Ascension, and I love that they just kind of let you run with that. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I never appreciated at the time just what a gift that was, you know? I wanted to do Ripclaw, and they had just canceled the book because they weren't really, well, the sales weren't there. And so they didn't feel comfortable letting me do Ripclaw because it had just not sold. And I didn't know what I was going to do. There was really, nothing. And so they just let me come up with something. And this was, the 90s, it was such a good time. You could just,
I'm glad you said so. I'm glad you said so. I also think they were a great time.
yeah. Yeah, we just
Um,
come up with it. Took like like the planning for that book. I had a spectrum, which is a collection of paintings, like fantasy paintings, and so it was like Spectrum 3 or whatever it was. And there's a picture from Rick Barry, this girl with angel wings, kind of goth. I thought it looked really cool. And basically, all of Ascension came from that, and from like Dante's Inferno. Some of the illustrations from Gustave Doré. I was
yes.
looking at a lot of that at the time, and so yeah, that's really all it was. Is I personally, I feel like my vision of what I like in comics is very limited. So this isn't to include any of the great family drama, and there's so many things that it does well. For me, I know what I like in comics, and that is a superhero that I want to imagine that I could be, and it would be awesome. And I'm like,
Mm.
that's what I love, and that's what I always want to draw. And so that's what I did with Ascension. Is I just made everything in there what I thought was kind of cool. It's what I still always just want to do.
And you're doing it, and I do want to. It's funny when you said the sales weren't there. Let me tell you something, and I want to see if you see any sort of like, if you can relate to this in any way. During that time, things were super competitive. They were not, and I've heard you mention how competitive your own studio was on some of the podcasts I wanted to listen to before I talked to you. But so within Image, you've got the studios and their sales figures, but then there's Valiant, who's kind of, launching some rockets, and some are going higher than others. But a lot of, then you've got all of the events and the gimmicks, and Marvel and DC, everyone. It's one of the most competitive times I've ever experienced. And it led us to look at sales in a way that I think was very unhealthy.
Mhm.
There isn't a book I canceled that I wasn't making money at Extreme, but it was bringing down the line average, and we needed to have a higher line. I've had people who, my greatest misgiving about that time was I didn't slow down, and I didn't have the maturity to just go, people are engaged in this. And when you're selling like 100,000 copies, 90,000 copies of a book, okay, there's profits there. You just think that you can launch another rocket that can maybe go higher than that. And what you're doing is abandoning the audience that loves this. And I had an editor at Marvel said, Rob, every time we cancel a book, we're canceling someone's favorite comic. We're crushing them. And it hurts the likelihood that they're going to come back with us. We are, because they've given themselves over to that. Did you experience any of what I just shared in terms of like kind of maybe some of the unhealthy thinking that we all applied in the 90s? And if you didn't, that's fine. And you go, Rob, that's your deal. I will proudly just wear that coat.
I did for sure. I would say my experience with it's a little more limited just because, I was just drawing. I wasn't running a
Sure.
whole company, and it's such a different perspective.
Because
For me, it was, yeah,
right.
I would look at the sales, and there would be whichever, especially in the studio, if an artist like Mike Turner would come along, and you can imagine how hard it is as a young artist to contend with the reality of somebody like Mike coming into the studio. And I mean, he was There's nothing like it. Not only he came in and learned faster and more efficiently than anybody I'd ever seen. I couldn't believe it. But from Mark, when Mark was teaching him, but just on
Yeah.
his own, he was just innovating so fast. His work was so, the compositions were beautiful. And he did things, he had an aesthetic that none of us had. I remember. And so he was doing Witchblade. This is when Witchblade first started.
Yeah.
And he had Sarah Pizzini, who is Witchblade, at a computer in her room, whatever. Anyway, she was at a computer, and he drew a computer. So it had a monitor, and it was like a home
Oh
computer.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
I remember saying, "You can't do that. Like, it's got to have all the tubes and all the stuff." And he ignored me, and that changed. There was a period with Top Cow where we were doing a lot of that, and I still love all the high techy stuff. And I
Mhm.
think we could do that again, and people would love it because it's nostalgic now. But he, because he was determined to do something his own way, created really the look for Top Cow from kind of then forward is a huge.
Well,
Anyway,
that's when Top Cow became supernatural. Like no, no,
yes,
no. Look, man. Mark found his gear. You guys, it. Wow, it was a revelation, and it was when Mark said, "I'm not playing in other people's sandboxes." That's how I took it.
yeah.
I'm
And so
going
when I
to.
did
Yeah. So
when I did Ascension, it really was a reaction to that. And so it was more supernatural. And no one said, you need to do something that's more supernatural. But it was definitely on my mind. And I
it
would
was
say that,
perfect.
yeah,
It's
I
perfect.
had a very unhealthy relationship with how successful Mike was, because he came in after me. It was hard. And it took me a while to
Iron.
realize, he's like the nicest guy on earth. And I'm really nothing but kind of backstabbing him behind his back. I'm backstabbing, but
No,
talking
no, no. He loves
talking
you.
smack, and a lot of really immature behavior. We all did it. It's human nature. But it took me a while to finally step back and say, okay, they're not. It's if I could beat them or not beat whatever, my work is still the same. It's still like it's not a zero sum game. If Mike does well, that means I'm not. I need to accept it. And not just Mike. I mean, there were every other artist that was better, and yeah, it's still. I feel that in the back of my mind. Still, I see somebody that does something great, and it's hard to not just love it for what it is, or to allow myself to just enjoy it. It's tough.
Doing was incredible, and I am 1,000% positive. Like you and Mike were complimentary. It was iron sharp. It was iron, absolutely sharpening iron with the two of you. That was fun to watch. Again, I was a fan. I bought all those. I was buying each and every one of those books religiously, by the way. And then that brought you into your what I call your Marvel, your superhero, your incredibly your incredible era that you experienced. That we're going to cover another time because you have been so generous giving us your time today. But look, the Ascension stuff was breakout. I do believe you put yourself in a different bracket. I was there. I saw you approach your storytelling differently, and it did fit that. It was totally. Witchblade and Darkness were intended to kind of interact and kind of complement. Ascension was kind of this other aspect, but it fit perfectly with that brand. And I think Top Cow's brand just became the top in the business at that time. So it's just fascinating. And look, again, that is kind of in a fantasy realm. And now what we're doing here with Skin Breakers is in this fantasy realm. Skin Breaker, sorry, there is no S. And I can't wait for people to see it. I would just gaze at it on screen and just be completely like, what is happening here? And zoom in, Robert. I mean, imagine me looking over Robert's shoulder as he's got a pretty big monitor. So I think it's great that this is finally landing with people. It's done. You don't have to worry about, well, what am I doing for issue 9? It's done. You did it. It was intended to be this giant compendium. I think it's brilliant to get it out there in little bits. My my I'm just so thankful that we got to spend this time, Dave. I learned so much from you. You can always teach an old dog new tricks, and I love all of the different ways that you shared with us how you tell stories. Is there a character at either Marvel or DC that you would still like to do? Because they're the big IP factories, right? I mean,
Hmm.
I've,
Yep.
I've given a lot of my career to Marvel. Uh, is there anything that you because you're a young guy, you got a lot of work ahead of you. Is there something, anything that maybe you feel like you could approach, or something you want to do going forward that no one would see coming?
Okay, I don't know that no one will see coming. I'm pretty predictable, I think, probably, but Daredevil. Love to do Daredevil. It'd be so much fun. It'd be a blast.
Okay. Wow. Thank you. Okay. I did not know that. Wow, Dave. Okay. Just like when I saw this prophet, all I did was okay, now all the images are hitting me. I see your covers. Dude, I can see that happening. Very, very,
So much
oh
fun.
boy. No, you'd be fantastic. It would be a maybe kind of the run I'm most excited about since I experienced Frank, and that was just like on another level.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, Dave, you again have been so generous. Thank you for taking all the time that you did today. We went a little long with you. I appreciate, because I know you got a lot of stuff to do. I know you're busy. You're working. What's the street date on this again? Skinbreaker.
September 25th.
September 25th.
3rd.
Get
23rd.
September 23rd. Get there early, and you guys, you have no idea what awaits you. It's the new standard in comic books. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Okay. So Dave, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you. I look forward to talking to you again, to doing a part two. But most of all, I look forward to getting all my different editions of Skinbreaker.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Again, this is a huge honor to be here. I really appreciate it. And
Hey,
thank
you
you.
love comics. You're a gift to comics. We love comics, and you're a gift to comics. So everybody, give it up for Big Dave. Thank you, Dave. And I will do a wrap up on the other side of this, and we are signing off. So, hey, everybody, I just want to extend again a great, gigantic thank you to Dave Finch for joining us and talking all things Dave Finch: art, illustration, storytelling, design, inking. I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am. I didn't know my Posca pins could be used on my pages. The fact that Dave draws in ink, is staggering. I counted at least uh, 20 things I learned, 20 items. The stuff that he said about the fact that he's got visual cues, feathers in the hair of the female, uh, tr- tribes people, and the facial hair, all that stuff. I can't wait to put that into action. I just want to just thank Dave again, for being generous with his time, sharing his time, and talking with us. We are going to have a whole lot more interviews coming forth on this show. The reason that I have not done them so much in the past is because of the formatting. But now with this new platform I'm using, it's much easier for me to hook up with people. And we are just going to start rolling a lot of interviews, because there are so many people in the game, like Dave is in the game, who we should be hearing from, people who are crafting the comics, the stories, the art, and more importantly, on the retail end, the people who are actually getting these books into the hands of the consumers. We've got a couple more retail voices on the docket, but get ready for a whole lot more knowledge coming your way from these people, these incredible talents, and these incredible people in the comic book business. Thank you, as always, for listening. I'm gonna go a little out of order here. There is an app called Whatnot, and it has been incredible in reaching audiences all over the world. We are able, via Whatnot and their shipping, their system, their labels that they generate. They build in the shipping to the purchases. We don't set shipping. So maybe people don't understand that, because people ask us with questions. Whatnot handles the pricing and the labels on the shipping. It's all part of the transaction. But we are able to send all manner of packages overseas. We have hit so many different markets worldwide through Whatnot. Whatnot is where I share with you guys so many of my exclusive books. And I think I grabbed up. Okay, so this is the Golden Apple, only for Golden Apple, but we brought some to the live stream. Golden Apple's 33rd anniversary Youngblood comic. This is the one that we did for Fantastic Worlds in Arizona. Okay, that we had a few copies left. They found their way. We did this just for Whatnot. This is a Whatnot exclusive. This dedicated shaft cover. This was a Dave Finch Prophet. This is glow in the dark. If I turned off the lights, this would glow in the dark. Okay, this is the stuff that you can only get from me. This was giant size Youngblood, the D cover with the brand new characters running right at you. That was only available. What do you think on Whatnot? And Last Blood is an entire comic, just like this is an entire comic. And just like this is an entire comic, these aren't just covers. These are entire bodies of work, exclusive comics that I have distributed out of my love and passion for the game on a live stream format, in a live stream format. So follow me on Whatnot. Get the app, download it, get your information prepared, and follow me, Rob Liefeld. So when I go live, you'll join me. Okay, I'll be going live this week. I believe the evening of this show dropping on Thursday, August. Is it August 28th? I think we'll be live, and that may be it for us for a couple weeks because we got a lot of stuff wrapping up as we head into the fall. But then in the fall, we're going to be back full force. It's always fun. It's a great time. We share all manner of different comics and trading card sheets, X-Force trading card sheets from 1991. I stumbled onto them in my vault, in my personal vault, and then I immediately run to the show and I share them with you. We are opening the vault for tonight's show, the Thursday night, August 28th episode. So hopefully you can join us and we can hang out. I may even bring some of these amazing Dave Finch Youngblood covers that I spoke of. I mean, I'm telling you that this is one of my favorite diehards ever. Combat, Badrock, Chapel, Vogue. I mean, incredible. So check us out. Follow us on Whatnot. Give us a follow. You'll be alerted when we go live. We hope to see you there. I am on X at Robert Liefeld, the whole long ROBERTLIEFELD. Good God, it's a mouthful. Has a blue check at the end, signifying that I am genuine. That is me. I am the genuine article, the real deal. That is who is retweeting what you say, interacting with you, replying comments. I read all of the back and forth. It's been a fun summer. I love the fact that we can communicate in that way. X is to me, it just we just reach so many people. So please check me out at Robert Liefeld, ROBERTLIEFELD, blue check on the platform formerly known as Twitter, now called X. Over on Instagram, I'm at Rob Liefeld, ROBLIEFELD. Would love to have you join me over on Instagram. We are trying to share some of the most entertaining and engaging content, past, present, future. Future projects are going to get sneak peeked and promoted over there. A look through the past, whether it's the movies I've been involved with, the animation, the cartoons, the toys, all of it. The different interviews, the stuff that I've done with Stan Lee, with Todd McFarlane. We've been I'm trying to share some really fun, fresh content for you guys. It's also where you're going to see some of where I travel, the work I'm doing, sneak peeks galore. I am at Rob Liefeld, ROBLIEFELD on Instagram. Check me out. Follow me over there. I'd love to see you. Facebook, we have a group. It's called Rob Liefeld, Marvel Extreme and Beyond. Rob Liefeld, Marvel Extreme and Beyond. It's a group over on Facebook. Myself and a gentleman named Terry Sala, SALA. We run the page, administer the page. Either myself or Terry will click you on through the other side. We have a great community. Up with people, super fun, super happy. We don't do trolls and hate and anger and madness. No, it's a happy place. And we all get to hang out together. We have great art contests. I grabbed another great artist for a cover the other day. These people understand how to utilize. If you understand how to reach through the clutter and reach the publishers like me with your talents, we can get something going, okay? And it's just a fun group. Every episode of this show is given a dedicated post so that you can discuss it and talk about the contents, and we have some great discussions over there. Rob Liefeld, Marvel Extreme and Beyond is the name of my group. I would love to see you over there. Youngblood is coming out. Some of your retailers are getting specific retail variants for their stores. I'm so excited. I keep seeing the preview art. I keep clicking on approve. Youngblood is coming. The direct-to-consumer version is going to be somewhat modified for you, a few new pages that you haven't seen. And we have covers by Scotty Young, by Ryan Stegman, Ryan Otley, by Daniel Warren Johnson, by Eric Gist, by Kyle Nagu. Obviously, I did some Mark Spears. We've got some great covers. The people have spoken. That's what you like. And I am totally floored by the effort and the passion that each one of these guys, all of this, let's call them the young generation, the Ryans, Mr. Otley, Mr. Stegman, the legend that is Scotty Young, Kyle Nagu, one of my favorite fresh faces in the business in the last decade. Fantastic. He did covers on my Snake Eyes Dead game. Dead game. That's where I first saw Kyle Nagu. He then did covers on Deadpool Batter Blood. So it was only fitting that he jumps on board and gives you a Youngblood cover. It's fantastic. It's I love it. Mark Spears is clearly he's been blowing up this year. His modified version of his Youngblood variant is coming out. Daniel Warren Johnson, who is got the most juice in the entire business, the guy with the most impact, especially over the last 2 years. Writer, creator, artist, just delivered the most epic Shaft cover. So again, Ryan Stegman, Ryan Otley, Eric Gist, master painter Eric Gist. We're going to have Eric Gist on this show very soon, talking with him about art and painting and his journey into comic books as one of the biggest, hottest names in the business when it comes to producing these covers that people just clamor for. So look, I've said all their names once. I'm not sure I'll get them right the second time, but Youngblood is coming. It is coming out November 5th. Make sure your retailer is going to have enough copies for you. Make sure you reserve your copies. That is how the game is played. Of course, when you come back and visit my Whatnot, because you're already following me over on Whatnot, you're going to get even all new product that night and signed by the guy that gave you Youngblood. We're going to have some toy announcements soon. The Youngblood action figures, I just recorded a video for those. Look out for those. Those are going to go live. You're going to finally see some of the shots of the figures in action as I have, and you're going to, oh man, these are great, and they go very well with the existing Bloodstrike and Bloodwolf figures from just last Christmas. So, guys, we got a lot going on. We're having a lot of fun. Thank you for following the show. I feel like we are entering a new age of the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. Thank you for hanging out with us. As always, I hope you are doing well. I hope that you are where you need to be and that your balance is there emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally, okay? Guys, life, every day is a challenge. Every time, the noise out there is hard enough to just move through, to get whatever we need done, to love on our kids, to be good dads, husbands, friends. I'm telling you, the grind can just get everybody down. And my advice, I live it, step away, get off that hamster wheel, get off the treadmill, take time for yourself. Read a great book, go to the movies, finally, catch that movie before it leaves the cinema. Watch that streaming show with your kids, your wife, your friends. Get out. Take long walks, long days. Summer has at least another month in it before the season officially wraps. Enjoy these extended days. Maybe make that last trip to the lake, to the beach. Have a great dinner with your loved ones, with your friends. Grab coffee. Guys, this is what I do. It's how I balance all of the crazy noise in my own life. So I'm just sharing it with you guys, lifting you up, hoping that you are doing well always. To boom, boom. Fist bumps into this Blue Yeti mic right out at you. Take care of yourself. Do not leave me behind. You know where I'll be. It's right there. I'll be right there. Swing by. Catch me. Don't leave me behind. We will most definitely, absolutely, inevitably, we're going to talk again real soon.